Hello there. My name is Auma Obama. I invite you to join me as I read an African story from the Android app Simulia. The story is titled How the Camel Got His Hump. It was written by Mudhoni Mushemi and published by Story Moja. How the Camel Got His Hump. Gomongo was a slim camel with long legs. He lived alone in a huge desert covered with sand. Gomongo knew the desert so well that he could tell the difference between one type of sand and another. In some areas, the sand contained shiny minerals that shone in the harsh sunlight. The minerals gave the sand a white, greenish, reddish, or even pink sheen. Some sand was loose and contained tiny bits of gravel, but in most places, the wind blew the sand so hard that it became very fine, powdery dust. When something good or bad occurred during his travels, Gomongo collected sand from the place it had happened. He put the sand in a bag, and he called it his bag of memories. It contained the many different types of sand that Gomongo came across on his travels. He carried his bag of memories on his back, and when Gomongo rested at night, he peeked into the bag. In the light of the moon and the stars, Gomongo mulled over the memories that the sands reminded him of. He laughed over the happy memories and cried over the sad ones. Because little rain fell, few plants and animals survived in the desert. But this did not bother Gomongo. He loved the sweet heat of the sun on his back. He knew how to find the rare pools of water, desert oases, no matter how far away they were. It took Gomongo many days to travel from one oasis to another, but he was strong and could travel far without tiring. One day, Gomongo met his friend Nico at an oasis. They drank deeply of its clear waters, and in the shade of the palm trees surrounding the oasis, Gomongo and Nico enjoyed a feast of prickly desert plants that tickled their thick lips. As the sun went down over the horizon, the two friends chatted away. Gomongo told Nico stories about his travels. "I walked across a flat landscape that made me feel like I could see forever," he said. "A blessing for a camel to feel so free," Nico replied encouragingly. "The sun beat the sand mercilessly and tried to play tricks on me," Gomongo replied. "Hot air rose in waves from a lake that appeared a short distance ahead." "That was a mirage, an illusion," Nico laughed. "Yes, it was thirst that made me see an image that was not really there," Gomongo agreed. "But I quickly put it out of my mind and studied the landscape for true signs of water." "What a blessing you knew what to do," Nico said. "A blessing I made it here safe and sound," Gomongo grinned, displaying his long front teeth. His friend smiled back and stated, "Experience is a good teacher." Nico's respectful words encouraged Gomongo to tell another story. "Recently, I was in real danger," he started. "On a cool, clear dawn, I was chased by a camel trader. He was riding a white horse. I woke up to find that he was almost upon me." "Did you not hear the horse's hooves galloping on the sand towards you?" Nico asked anxiously. Gomongo chose not to confess that he had stayed up very late the night before, mulling over memories, and as a result, he had overslept and was not alert. Instead, Gomongo continued with his story. "The trader chased me for hours," he said. "The trader and his horse panted and sweated even more than I did as we ran. I could hear the horse's hooves digging into the sand behind me." "It's a blessing that our wide feet do not sink into the sand," said Nico, nodding his head. "The trader seemed surprised how long I ran," said Gomongo. "Another blessing," said Nico. "Our long legs take longer strides. We use less energy." "The trader tried to tire me," Gomongo continued. "When I hurried, the trader hurried. When I slowed, the trader slowed his horse too. He drank water from his flask and let his horse catch its breath. He thought I would give up and lie down for him to catch me." "It is a blessing that we camels have great stamina," Nico replied. "We do not give up easily." "None of us wanted to give up," said Gomongo. As that long day of running came to an end, the wind began to blow. It blew harder and harder. It must have been one of those desert storms that suddenly appear from nowhere, contemplated Nico. The wind blew across the landscape, whipping sand into the air. Gomongo continued. I had to close my nostrils to stop the sand from coming up my nose. I almost ran out of breath. I thought I would die. What a blessing that a camel can close its nostrils for a long time, exclaimed Nico proudly. That stopped the sand from choking you, he explained. You're right, Gomongo said, but it was a struggle to keep the sand out of my eyes. Ah, and what a blessing that camels have long eyelashes to keep the sand out of our eyes, Nico responded. A blessing, too, that we have long eyelids, also to protect our eyes. The wind howled as it blew, continued Gomongo. I could hardly hear myself think. What a blessing that the ears of a camel are covered with hair, even on the inside. It helps keep out the sand, said Nico. You're right, but that wind was a force of nature, continued Gomongo. It pushed me over. I fell on my back. It blew sand all over me. I thought it would bury me. I struggled to get up. Oh. Our long legs make it hard to get up at the best of times, said his friend aghast. But without them, we could not travel so far. Imagine my shock when I heard the trader's horse neigh close by, Gomongo exclaimed. I thought my day had come. Heaven forbid, said Nico loudly. And when my mind stopped racing and my heart stopped pounding, I realized that the trader and his horse were just on the other side of the sand dune. Gomongo shivered at the memory. They were so close to me, and yet so far. Nico nodded. The two friends knew that during a windstorm, hilly dunes of different shapes form over the flat desert landscape. Some dunes form with ridges on top. Others form a crescent shape like a day-old moon. If the wind changed direction many times, star-shaped dunes formed. What a blessing that dunes are like a maze that suddenly appear, Nico said encouragingly. Indeed, I was trembling in the middle of a star-shaped sand dune, said Gomongo. And even though the trader led his horse around and around the dune, he did not see me. What a blessing, too, that our skin is the color of sand, Nico interjected. Ah, a camel has many blessings. Gomongo and his friend Nico laughed heartily. After a pleasant night of sharing their dramas of the desert, the two friends parted ways. Before he left, Gomongo collected sand near the oasis to remind him of that evening. Gomongo continued his travels, carrying his bag of memories on his back and filling it with sand to mark each event, good or bad. Over time, he collected many memories. Eventually, he had to switch to a bigger bag to accommodate the growing pile of sand. Sand is heavy, and Gomongo's bag of memories got heavier and heavier. The more adventures he had over the years, the heavier the bag on his back became. The heavy load forced Gomongo to walk slower and slower across his beloved desert. And when he sat down, it took him longer and longer to get up again. One day, Gomongo's friend Nico came across him, struggling to get to his feet. Let the sand go, Nico advised. Get rid of the bag on your back and travel light. I fear letting go of my memories, replied Gomongo. Memories of laughter and tears that have kept me going all these years. Gomongo, listen to me. The memories that matter will stay with you in your mind forever, Nico told him. Let go of some of the sand. All memories are a blessing. All the sand represents something that happened to me. How can I choose what to get rid of and what to keep? Gomongo fretted. If you dwell too much on the past, Nico said, you will not be attentive in the present or make room for the future. But despite Nico's advice, Gomongo found it impossible to change his ways. The heavy bag stayed on his back. In fact, he packed the bag so tight with sand on his back that it got stuck. Permanent hump. And the large hump slowed Gomongo down even more than usual. In fact, it slowed him down so much that a trader finally caught him. The trader put Gomongo to work carrying goods to market. He no longer was free to roam the desert. No longer could he meet friends as he pleased. And with goods tied to his back, no longer could Gomongo collect sand to add to his bag of memories. When tied with other camels in a marketplace, Gomongo shared the old stories that had solidified on his back. Since he could not add more memories to his bag that was now part of his back, he learned to be content with enjoying stories of the present and to imagine stories of the future. We have now come to the end of our story. I invite you to think of points in the story that have inspired you. Discuss them with your family and friends. Here are some points to ponder over. Feel free to add more. 1. After reading or hearing this story, what advice would you give someone? Use examples from real life and explain your advice. Be aware that each person may have a different way of looking at the story and may offer different advice. Listen and learn from each other. 2. Share a travel memory. Remember again, each person may have a different one. Maybe about traveling in a car, on a train, or aeroplane. Maybe about a long walk or run. Maybe about going to a new school, house, or place. Maybe about experiencing a meaningful time in their life. 3. Share your oldest memory. It'll be interesting to hear what different members of your family remember most about their youngest years. 4. Share your fondest memory of each member of your family or friends. 5. Do not dwell so much in the past that you leave no room for the present. Discuss this using examples from real life. 6. Creating memories is the most precious present you can share with someone. Talk about this, again using examples from real life. And do have fun doing so. Bonding over stories is fun and promotes the sharing of values and learning. For many more African tales from Story Moja, please download the Simulia app. Thank you for listening. And my special message to you, read a lot. Read widely, because reading is cool. This is Auma Obama saying good night, stay safe and healthy.